But there were other deals that may have felt a little light. But I think the one thing, the volume of deals was impressive. It was fun. It was like a pretty wild few days for sure. But I thought pretty early on, and we talked about it as a group, I think we kind of felt like a lot of teams were trying to win. A lot of teams felt like they had a chance to win. And overall, I think maybe that was shown in the last few days with all the activity.
How much better do you feel like the teams in front of you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think they obviously, they added talented players. So, again, I think, the Giants, they've been playing great all year, so I think, ultimately, I think, I didn't see maybe the final thing. I think we're still kind of like, dealing with some things on our own end, but obviously Chris Bryant helps them. The Dodgers get really, two really talented players. So, again, like I think from our standpoint, in this division, in this league, but especially in this division, it's always going to be a challenge, and I think our guys understand that no matter, who the players are, year to year and everything like that, you've got to be a really good team to come out of the NL West. This year will be no different.
How do you sort of in your mind justify not adding a starting pitcher, maybe not making the moves that would have made you appreciably better?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like I think we've shown, like we feel like if something's going to add up and make sense for us, we're going to do it. And I think a combination too, like we have stars that we believe in, and I think it's pretty clear. Like ultimately, got a lot of talent in the rotation, and as part of our discussion too. No matter, it would have been nice to add somebody that we felt like was, made sense for us both in short and long term. But we're not going to get where we want to get to unless the guys we have right now in our rotation pitch like they're capable of. So, we could have added a starting pitcher, and, if the other 4 guys or 5 guys don't pitch like they're capable of, honestly, it's not going to matter. I think for us, we feel like we have enough, from a starting pitching standpoint. What Joe Musgrove did last night, Darvish, Chris Paddock, Blake Snell, they're more than capable. And, ultimately, we didn't really feel like there was anything that lined up for us on the trade market that we felt like was appreciably better than what we have right now in our rotation. I mean, I think every year you go into it, and every deadline, and really throughout it, you never want to move. The value of young talent is huge. So it's I think you're always that's the dance. You're constantly weighing out like what you're able to get, from a trade standpoint versus the value of what you think players are going to be in the future. Again, I think, young player talent, we continue to have a lot of it. It's gold. It gives you access to at least be in the conversations, but that doesn't mean you're going to line up on every single deal. And, I think from our standpoint, we feel like we have a very competitive team. We feel like top to bottom of the organization, we have a really talented farm system, which will come into play at some point in time, whether it's at the big league level in Petco or in other conversations and trades. And ultimately that's a good thing for us and for the organization.
AJ, considering how many rumored discussions you were involved in, and we never know what the truth of all that is, but are you surprised that you're not talking about a few more deals right now than maybe going into the deadline?
No, I mean, I think like obviously the maybe last year at the deadline, some stuff, every year is different. We've had some really wild deadlines and, winter meetings or off season. And we've had some other years where, we've made some moves at the, at the margins or some little things. I think this year was, again, I think for us, we looked at adding to the team, adding Adam Frazier, adding Jake Marisnick there right up at the deadline. Daniel Hudson, we were able to strengthen the pen, the position player rotation and the bench. Those were goals for us, and, I think at the end of the day, it's hard to make trades, hard to line up exactly on deals. It's never easy. There's a lot of competition out there, but again, I think we left the room feeling good. There wasn't anything, from our standpoint that we weren't prepared for. And, again, I feel like we strengthened our ball club here in the last couple of days, and now we got to go out and play, play winning baseball the last couple of months.
We'll go to Marty Caswell.
Hi, AJ. Did you feel that at some point a deal for Max Scherzer was close?
No, I mean, I think I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, I think the one thing, like the report yesterday, obviously it was not an accurate report. So I think from our, at least at that time, we hadn't heard from the Nats in, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 hours at that point, and we were not, it was not a situation where we were right on the 2-yard line or anything like that. So once you see a report like that, I think from all our standpoint, we knew that wasn't accurate. And then you kind of start thinking about, what that means. But it wasn't a situation, where we were right there with a chance to complete the deal. Didn't feel like that. And ultimately we were in the room working on other things and really hadn't been at that spot where we were talking to them. So, that closely. So you see the report come out and, it was not something that, that was, from a completion of a deal standpoint, that was what was presented yesterday. It wasn't that type of situation.
Okay, you've been talking, I feel like you've been talking for months about the options coming from within, especially as it relates to your pitching staff. But based on what you've seen from Blake Snell, what makes you think that he can turn around and be the pitcher that you thought you acquired at the time?
Yeah, he's really talented. I mean, I think, again, I think we've seen it for flashes so far. It just hasn't been consistent outing after outing. But, he obviously has a track record. You win a Cy Young, you do it for a reason. His stuff is, in terms of like pure, just measurable stuff, breaking ball, both breaking balls, the fastball, the velocity, the arm speed, the way he feels. Those are all the positives. Now we have to figure out a way to get that consistently on the field for us. We've seen it flashes, especially here at home at Petco. And again, if we're going to be the team we want to be, it involves Blake Snell pitching well for us. And that's the challenge here for us, and the goal over the course of the next 2 months is get the Blake Snell that we know is capable of, that we've seen at times here in Petco. And we know we've seen really throughout his whole career for the in the American League. Get that out here consistently, for the Padres over the next couple of months.
And how much better did the two teams in front of you get at this deadline, the Dodgers and the Giants?
No, I mean, you have to respect, you respect those players they brought in. So they're playing already very well. So, I think, again, we talk about it, at least internally for us, like at times you can have a great team on paper. It's the team that plays the best every single night. We knew that, we've got in the NL West, you're always going to have your work cut out for you, whatever was going to happen to this trade deadline. You've got two teams that we respect a ton, and, really look forward to competing against and seeing some really good baseball the next couple of months.
And Eric Hosmer's name was out there for a bit. Do you have to have a conversation with him at this point, or how do you expect that to go, for that to play out the final 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think players, all the guys have been through trade deadlines before, so they understand there's rumors, especially this year, there's things that are out there that may or may not be true. So you can't believe everything that's out there during a trade deadline period. But again, it's also a situation where you do consider a lot of different possibilities. And I think, we'll sit down with different players, myself and Jace. You just want to be honest and truthful and have those conversations. If guys have questions, we'll make sure here over the course of the next day or two that we answer any of those questions. But it's pretty clear, like ultimately, for our group, it's go win a World Series. Jace has, it's a strong roster, a talented roster. And he's going to play the guys that he feels like, are going to lead us to win games and ultimately a championship. And I think the players understand that. They understand, you're constantly looking at ways to improve and get better. So it's the time of year where we have those conversations and entertain those conversations. And they also understand that there's going to be things that are out there that may or may not be true. So, we'll sit down with our group and our roster, have those conversations, and, obviously any questions that come up, we're have answered or prepared to answer here over the course of, the last few days and, I'm sure over the next day or two.
A.J. Caswell.
AJ, I know you're optimistic. You have some of the answers in your starting rotation already, but if those answers maybe don't come, do you feel like the bullpen that you've constructed would potentially be able to, maybe if they're make up for some deficiencies come September, October?
Yeah, I mean, I think from our standpoint, you want to make the roster as strong as you can make it. But a lot of faith in Jace and Larry to be creative and look at the group. And again, there's a lot of different ways to win. And those guys have a really good feel for our team, our group, what's needed that night. I think we've shown it, this year. We have starting pitchers. Hasn't been consistent in the last 2 months, but, we saw it early in the season. We had guys that took the ball and pitched great. We saw it last night with Joe Musgrove. And I think also we have a bullpen that's deep and talented. So if there are nights where Jace feels like, our best opportunity is to go to the pen early and often and have different looks, we feel like we have a team that's capable of doing that. If there's nights where he wants to ride the starter deeper in the game and, get into the 7th, 8th inning, like our starters, we feel like are capable of responding to that. So, again, I think kind of getting the deadline behind us. This is our group. This is our team. I think that's a real positive. There's a lot of belief and faith in our group and our team. And I think, I think we have a talented team, and for Jace to kind of use the weapons as he sees fit, that's what the next couple of months are about.
Setting the pitching aside for a second, do you feel like it's a pretty complete offense with the 2 moves you made at the deadline here to kind of like fill in maybe some of the voids you had?
Yeah, I mean, adding Adam Frazier, from an offensive standpoint, it's another, good at-bat taker, and I think that helps. I think it's, again, like you're not just in the starting lineup in the National League style game where, you may hit for your pitcher, you may go to your bullpen, and you want to have strong options coming off the bench. I think that's all part of it. No DH in the league this year. So, I think whether Adam's in the starting lineup, that means that we have an everyday player that's coming off the bench for us and is an option for Jason in the middle of the game and to deploy as he sees fit. And the same thing with Marisnik. You have a guy, speed, defense, been there. A guy that's played in some big games. So again, I think whether it's starting a ball game or in Marisnik's case and Jake's case, ending the game with a really strong team, it's a more complete roster. And I think and hopefully that results in some in wins here over the next couple of months.
Hey, AJ, do you feel like certain reports may come out about how close the deal is to drive a price up for a selling team at any point, or do you feel like it's just misinformation sometimes?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I think we just kind of concern ourselves with the things that that we know are accurate and true. And I think yesterday we were all kind of sitting around. I think some guys we were looking around, going, "Wait, did you do something that we weren't aware of?" But yeah, honestly, I don't know how that worked in the situation yesterday. And again, there's, you're kind of, I think it's fun. You're in these trade discussions and things are flying left and right. And you've got guys in the room kind of saying, at times it's part of the deadline period now. Is you've got the MLB Network on. Guys are looking at Twitter. Sometimes that information's good, and it helps a team. Hey, we're hearing this, we're looking at that. But you have to have a feel for it. What seems like it's real. You can't get too caught up in it. We don't really ever get too caught up in any of the reports or anything like that, and ultimately kind of stay focused and know what benefits us and what works for us. And we did that over the course of the last few days. I guess it's going to be important. I think it's usually being strong against the teams in your division and beating the teams that are in front of you. My guess is I think when the schedule came out and we saw it there in the off season, we looked at the September schedule and said, we played through the September schedule. It's going to prepare us for the postseason, because we're going to be playing some really good teams, both in division and out of division. But those division games are, they're going to be, they've been important all year. I think they're going to continue to be important as we get into September. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think everybody in San Diego, they look forward to those games. Obviously, the Dodgers and Padres games this year have been they've been kind of must-see TV. Our games with the Giants have been I think incredibly competitive, and I would expect September, with both all 3 teams improving themselves, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and obviously it's going to probably go a long way towards deciding the division.
So it wouldn't surprise you if it came down to the last weekend of the season between the 3 teams with you guys in San Francisco, huh?
Yeah, I'm not great at predicting it, but obviously all 3 teams are they're really strong. So I think everybody playing each other, we're not gonna have any excuses. We're gonna be able to look up and if it's about winning division, getting the playoffs, we're gonna go head to head with 2 teams that are right in front of us. And my guess is if one team establishes themselves as dominant in that period, it probably is going to give them a real the upper hand in terms of taking over the division and winning it here at the end.